Hi students, it's time for art and I hope you're doing well. Depending on the art class, we may not have a lot of work to do today because we're working in the classroom, but it depends. Anyways, let me show you the Godzilla of the week. Now I'm running out of model kits that I've painted, so I'm kind of digging up some old toys. And so here's my Godzilla that I found. This is a weird form of King Ghidorah, and I think its name is, it's like Kaiser Ghidorah. And this Ghidorah was in the movie Godzilla Final Wars, which was a Japanese movie, and that came out in like 2004 or something like that. And this is a real interesting King Ghidorah. He's got like 4 legs. See, he's got like 4 legs. Right? I don't know. He's pretty cool. This is a pretty cool toy. He's soft. It's like a soft vinyl. Sometimes the vinyl is kind of harder. This is kind of soft. So, right? But anyways, he's pretty cool. Here's his tag. Let's see here. But I was curious. I was just curious. I bought this. It didn't seem too long ago. Seemed like yesterday that I bought this, and I bought it in like 2004. I was like, wow, that's actually kind of a long time ago now. And I was just curious. I'm curious because sometimes they don't make a lot of these. They don't make a lot of these toys, and I wonder if it's like valuable. Like I wonder if people are selling it for a lot of money. Sure enough, I went to Amazon, and somebody is selling this thing for $350. That's a lot of money. Now, is it really worth $350? No. Just because somebody's selling this thing for like $350, it doesn't mean it's worth that much. It's only worth as much as someone's willing to pay for it. So someone might pay like $100 for it. So yeah, it's probably worth like $100. That's pretty cool. Would I ever sell mine? Probably not, because I like to. Unless I really needed the money. Well, it's kind of more important that I have it in my collection. I like, I kind of enjoy it for what it is. But that was kind of interesting to see that someone's selling it for so much money. I kind of checked some of my other Godzillas, and yeah, they sell for a lot of money. Doesn't mean anyone's willing to pay that much money. To me, they're more personal. I would never pay that much for this Godzilla. I probably only paid like 30, maybe $30 for him 15 years ago, and $30 seemed like a lot of money back then for a toy. Anyways, that's Godzilla. That's the Godzilla of the week. I'll show you an interesting old Godzilla next time, and let's get on to the art portion of our video. Hi, 6th graders, remote 6th graders, and regular in-class art 6th graders. Hi. We're going to practice. We have a little bit of time in between projects. So we're going to start a new project, I believe, next week. I think I have it planned. But in the meantime, some students are finishing up their forest trees. So we're just going to practice today. We're going to do a short practice. We're going to draw and shade a sphere, and we're going to learn about value. So this will be a short practice session, and then next week we will have we'll have a new project to work on. Okay? So let's start. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, let's look at value. So there's different shades of value. Value is light to dark, right? And this is a value scale. I guess I'll write it down here. And this is a 9. This is a 9. There's different numbers of values. Sometimes there's 10, sometimes there's 8. Usually it's 9. Okay? I don't know, because it's when you get more values, it's hard to they all kind of start looking the same. Like you can see these kind of look the same. So this is 9. Anyways, on top we have white, right? Or, the brightest white. On the bottom we have the darkest. Now this isn't like a black, but this is the darkest I can get. This is the darkest I can get with my number 2 pencil. So we're going to use a number 2 pencil. Number 2 pencil and a copy paper for our, you can just find a copy paper in your house. And we're just going to draw this, right? I'm not going to make you draw a 9 value. We're going to do a 5 value, so it'll be a little easier. But here you can see on the bottom it's the darkest, and then in the middle is 5. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I tried, this is like the medium value right here. That's kind of the medium. And then it gets a little lighter. It's like not as dark, lighter, lighter, and then white. And then here it's like medium, it's like darker, a little darker, more darker, almost the darkest, and then the darkest. So that's how value works. It helps us shade and do, shadows. Okay, so now let's notice how my strip is bent a little. It's because it's long. Okay, so let's make a shorter one. Let's make a small one. It's going to be like, so you just draw like a thin rectangle. You don't have to do the 9. We'll just do a 5. So you're going to make a rectangle, kind of like this. And let's see, to get 5, I need to have, what we're going to do is this. So we have a small rectangle, and in the middle you're going to put a box, kind of like that. So that's the middle. Now we need 2 on each side. So I'm just going to divide this one in half and this one in half. So that gives me 5, right? Okay, so that wasn't so hard. Now the top we just leave white. You don't even have to do anything to that one. That one's just white. This one though, you want it to be as dark as possible. So, and don't rip your paper. Just, try your best. So I have a number 2 pencil. Number 2 is pretty good. I mean, they have they have drawing pencils. Sometimes they're like softer, and you can kind of get a little darker. But number 2 pencil you find around the house, totally fine. So, but here's what you want to do. You want to fill this in as dark as you can. So you want to really fill it in. Remember, this is practice. You don't even have to turn this in. This is just practice it, and then you can show your parents that, hey, I practiced art, but I don't have to turn this in. You don't have to turn this in. This is practice. You're like, Mr. Smith, so if I don't have to turn it in, how do you know I didn't do it? Maybe I slacked off and just didn't do it. You're right. I won't know, but you should just do it. It won't take that long to do this. So that's as dark as I can get. That's pretty dark, okay? Now I'm going to skip one, and I'm going to go right to the middle. This one needs to be in between white and the darkest I can get. So let's see. I don't know. So I'm not going to press down as hard. I'm not pressing down as hard, and I'm kind of blending it in. I'm kind of shading it in. And that feels pretty good. That feels like a good gray. Like your medium value is like a gray. Not too dark. You don't press down as, this one you press down really hard. This one you just kind of, you don't press down as hard, and you're just kind of like blending it in. What happens is, the more you do these shapes, the duller your pencil gets. And when your pencil gets dull, it's easier to shade like this. Okay. Now, I need something darker than this, but not as dark as this. And it's going to go right in here. So I need something in between the darkest and the medium. So let's see. Well, what you could do is you could start the same value as this and then just make it darker. That's probably the easiest. Watch, I'm going to go. So that's about the same. Okay, but then I want to make this a little darker, but not as dark as this one, right? Like, wow, it's kind of challenging, Mr. Smith. It is. It is. You just be lucky I'm not making you do a 9. This is hard to do. For challenge, you can try to do a 9. But you can tell it's hard. It's hard to get these. Like, you can always make some a little darker. It's hard to get them, and it's hard to get a difference. It'll be easier with 5 because there's not as many. So let's see. Okay, so there you can. I can probably make this a little darker. Okay, good. So there you can see medium, darker, like medium dark, and then the darkest. Now for this one, I need it to be lighter than this one. Okay, so here you can just start real light, and that's probably all. Just barely do it, and that'll probably be. You don't want to do it too dark, because then I think that's all I need to do. Yeah, so you can kind of tell the difference here. So I got 5 values. This is 5 values. 5 values because it's easier, right? 9 is kind of hard to do. So I got value number 1, value number 2, value number 3, value number 4, value number 5. And that's the darkest, right? You're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Practice this. If you're ever bored, you're probably like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, Mr. I know, but if you ever do want to practice, it's hard to do. It's not easy. Okay, so now we're going to draw our sphere, and we're going to shade it. So we're just going to draw a circle. It doesn't have to be too big, because remember, this is just practice. So I'm going to draw a circle. That was don't worry if your circle's not perfect. Mine looks a little I don't know, lopsided. But what we do need to do though is we need to add a shadow, and the shadow's going to be a thin oval, and it's going to be on the right of it, kind of like this. Thin oval, and it's going to connect right there. There. You can kind of already tell it looks like a shadow, right? I mean, it's not dark yet, but but it kind of has the shape of a shadow. So it's a very thin oval, right? Thin oval, right? And then the light source is shining down. The light source is shining down here. If the light was shining this way, the shadow would be on this side, right? You can kind of imagine the light shining down, hits our sphere, and then it casts the shadow. All right. Okay, so let's start shading. So now do we shade the whole thing? Not really. Well, here's what we want to do. We're going to shade. Let's go for this value. So this is value number number 2 out of 5, right? And here's what we want to do. We kind of want to leave. Don't. I'm going to draw, but don't draw a circle. Don't draw a circle because then you'll see your circle. But we want this part to be. Here, I'll show you. You want this part to be white because that's the highlight, right? And then the rest, I'm going to shade very lightly like this. Okay, so here we go. Oh, and then when you shade, here's a trick. You don't just shade up and down. I mean, you could. It won't look as good. But you can actually go, you can kind of go rounded. Kind of like go around it. It's hard to do. When you go around it, it kind of conforms to the shape of the sphere. That's kind of hard to do, so if it doesn't work out, don't worry about it. You could just kind of shade. I guess you can shade up. Let me try. It doesn't look too bad if you shade up and down. Although I feel like I have to follow the curve of the sphere. I'm compelled. Okay, so that's kind of like the medium, or it's not the medium. It's the whatever. It's value number 2, okay? Now what we want to do is now we want to add some shading for this medium value. And so here it's going to be, you want to leave some of this lighter value here. So it's kind of like a band. I'm going to come around this way. So you want to leave some of this, this is value number 2, so this is number 2. Number 1, value number 1, value number 2, and then value number 3, which is our medium. And it looks like I can go a little darker here, so I'll go a little darker. All right. And you can go all the way to the bottom of your sphere. Okay. Okay. Now for our shadow we're gonna add gradation in our shadow as well. So let's start with the medium, but we'll make it darker. So I'm just going to go medium. We'll make it darker. And you're just going to kind of, okay. Notice how I'm not pressing down too hard yet. I'm not pressing down too hard yet. Okay. So that's value number 3. That's just our medium. This somehow looks darker than this. Okay. Okay, so now here's where it gets kind of tricky. We want to add these 2 values, okay? So here's what we're going to do. This value is, again, it's going to be, here, I'll draw it. So it's not going to go all the way to the edge of the sphere, but it is going to go in there. So let's see, I'm going to go almost to the edge. So let's see. Can't see here. Okay. Now, I want to get a little closer to this edge, but I don't want to go all the way. What happens is there is reflective light. You know what's funny is I don't exactly know how reflective light affects a shadow. It would be darker here, but then it's, yeah. Okay. Anyways, you want to leave, you don't want to go dark all the way to this edge. What happens is light reflects off the table, if there is a table here, and it kind of lightens us up a little bit. We can make this a little darker, but not much. You want it to be not as dark as this part. So it's like value number 1, value number 2, value number 3, value number 4. So I don't have very much value 3 in here. Let me see if I can add some more value 3. You can always add a little more. There. Okay, and now I need value number, so I'm on value number 4. So I can have some value number 4 right under here. And it's not going to go all the way, because what happens is the shadow gets lighter. So let's see, I'm going to go value number 4 to about right here. See how it's a little lighter there? Yeah. What happens is light is, the further away it is, light is filling in that shadow, so it's not as dark there. You're like, really? Yeah, kind of. Okay, finally I'm on my last value, the darkest. Now, this is going to be, they call it a core shadow, because it kind of goes around the core. I mean, it's not an apple, but like if you could imagine it was an apple, you can kind of imagine it's the darkest part. It's going to be a band. So I'm going to try to go as dark as I can here. And it goes around the core. Don't totally get rid of your value number 4. So here I got value number 4, value number 3, value number 2. You're like, oh my gosh, that's complicated, Mr. Smith. I know, it's just practice. It's just practice. It's just practice. And then I do want to get this in here a little bit. Okay. Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah, it's looking pretty, okay, shadowy. Finally, I do want to have my darkest, my value number 5 right here, but just a little bit. So let's see, it's going to go like this. It doesn't go very far. Like, wow, looks pretty good. My sphere looks like lopsided. Looks like a grape or something. Okay, that's it. Now, you're probably thinking, wow, that looks pretty good. Maybe you did better than me. Maybe you were smoother. See, mine's not super smooth. Here, let's zoom in. But it's pretty good. I mean, it's good enough, right? But here you can see the values. So here's number 5, number 4, number 3, number 2, number 1. This is supposed to be number 5. I think I can make this a little darker. So I'm going to make this just a little darker. You can always go back in and make things a little darker. It's harder to make them lighter. All right, yeah. And then let's see if I can smear it. I don't know if it's going to smear very well. You don't have to smear it, but let's see. And just kind of smudge it a little. Yeah, it looks pretty good. They have fancy smudge sticks. They're like little paper sticks, and you can kind of smudge it a little. But they don't, I mean, they probably work okay with, this is just like the number 2 pencil, like graphite. They probably work better like with softer, you know, graphites and numbers. But if you want, you can kind of do this a little. It kind of blends it a little. Let's see, I'm going to blend my shadow a little. If you have a little blending stick, you can use your blending. It's probably... Okay, that's it. Let's see. Not bad, not bad. Okay, well anyways, this was practice. So if you did it, awesome. If not, you at least watched it. But give it a try. Practice it. It's not that hard. But this is a skill that will come back near the end of the school year. We're gonna do something with values. We're gonna do probably still life. We'll see. We gotta do some clay and stuff first, but schedule permitting, we'll do more of this. So this is good practice for the future. We'll do something like this again. We'll probably keep to 5 values because 9 is pretty hard to do. 5's pretty good. And you can see 5 works pretty good here. You can always blend in a little more. You know, make it a little darker, like maybe an in between a 4 and a 5. You can do stuff like that. It's up to you. It's just this is just practice. So hopefully that was interesting and fun. And that's it we have for this week. So next week we'll start something different. Have a great week. I hope you have a fun weekend. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.